Is Argentina the next El Salvador as President Javier Milei announces pretty much that Bitcoin is potentially going to become legal tender? Will Argentina start buying Bitcoin every day like El Salvador is doing? El Salvador, good economy. Argentina, one of the largest in the world. What is that going to mean for Bitcoin? Also, we have some insight on the ancient Bitcoin whales, the ones that have been holding for more than 7 years. Why are they dumping all their coins? Is this the reason for the big market sell-off? We have the first Ethereum ETF commercial out from Bitwise. We're going to show you that one. Also, big partnership with Avalanche in the NFT world. Our NFT is getting ready for a comeback. We're going to talk about Base Chain surpassing Binance. We're going to talk about Toncoin and a little bit of Polygon news on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's get into it.
Your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, stale information like that old Elvis guy that's over. You know what? Elvis is overweight. You got skinny Elvis. You got young Elvis. You got old Elvis.
That was a bad seg. Or analogy. You know, when I make a bad seg or analogy, I say it. You should.
Let it be.
No. I'm saying the old, boring Vegas, and then you got the new, fresh Vegas, right?
Vegas wasn't boring when it was old, I'll tell you that.
No, wait, I'm just
a lot of 6-foot holes in the desert, you know what I'm saying?
You Elvis is like the icon, right? Or at least it was. But now you don't see as much Elvis.
Only in the courthouse, or
and that's what I'm saying is that we are not that old. We're not. What you're saying? No, we're putting Elvis to bed, bro. No more Elvis, no more peanut.
Who are we awakening out of the bed?
That club vibe. When are we gonna redo the club? How you want to do this?
Why are you asking me?
Hey, David had to remove it.
Because
I like how I get the blame for it.
Because you hated the club.
I just didn't like it the way it was. I didn't say let's get rid of it. You got rid of it.
One day we came, you removed the button. I remember
You're
that.
such a liar, bro.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. How could you sit there with a
I'm a man
face?
of the people. They want the club. And so I'm here to.
I still feel bad for Jimmy. I still think about that $300 he super chatted for the club, and
yeah,
that's your fault. Yeah,
we never paid him back.
Damn it.
It's okay, Jimmy. We love you. You got paid back in our love.
Yeah.
All right, let's open up the show. First of all, I want to talk about the video we just posted this morning. Our sit down Caspa exclusive interview. A lot of alpha in there. You'll see in the very beginning of the video, you'll see a little mini trailer, a part of the conversation where we talked about exchange listings. A lot of good stuff in there. So if you're a Caspa fan, if you're on the edge on Caspa and, hey, is it a good project? Should I put some money into it? Is it have a future? Probably a good video to watch straight from the horse's mouths. I mean, these are the people that are in the project, in the space, the ones that are promoting it, the ones that are, I mean, for God's sakes, I had the guy who co-authored the Ghost DAG protocol answering questions. So a lot of good info there. If you haven't watched it, make sure to watch it after the live show. If you're coming into the live show from that video, welcome, say hello. We'd love to give you a shout out. Now, also would love to give a shout out to Javier. If I was able to have another kid, which I'm not, I'll leave it at that. I would name him Javier.
Why?
I would have another kid if I could, but I can't.
Javier, why?
Javier, huh?
Yeah. What a good man. So Argentinian's president, Javier Milei, says, quote, there will be free competition of currencies. So if you want to use Bitcoin, there will be no problems. This is pretty much legal tender, right?
I think that you need to do that at a political level.
Bills, but I'm saying, like, if you just read into what he's saying, competition of currencies, and if you want to use Bitcoin, there'll be no problems. What else would you need to use currencies for? Right? Competition of currencies. You want to buy something in Bitcoin, you can. You want to pay your taxes in Bitcoin, you can. You want to, whatever the case may be, that is how I'm taking this, man. And this is very big.
Oh, absolutely huge. The thing is that I feel like this is discussion that we're seeing from more and more of the South American countries, right? El Salvador kind of led the way. Argentina, and before he got elected, Javier was very vocal on Bitcoin. He talked about it multiple times in multiple interviews and talked about its benefits for a government or a nation state. And so now that we're in a scenario where he's in office, he's doing what he said he was going to do, right?
What a shocker, right?
And it hasn't even taken that long. How long has he been in office? Like a month and a half?
No, more than that.
Is it?
More than that, yeah.
It feels like a month and a half.
Yeah.
But either way, he hasn't been in there that long, right? He's been elected this year. I don't know the exact date, but and so we're already talking about national currencies and the free market in the fiat game, right? So, well, who's next? Is it Chile? Is it Brazil? I feel like other South American countries are going to follow suit. I did see a interesting interview with Tucker Carlson and with Nayib Bukele. And in that interview, he discussed that he's been fielding lots of calls from other presidents and other leaders and nation's leaders. And he didn't say what they were talking about, but I mean, well, one, they reduced crime. They got international attention, right? The GDP rose, tourism rose. Like, there's a lot of things they did right. But I wonder how many conversations he's had with other leaders around globally, particularly in South America, and they're like, "Hey, how's that Bitcoin thing going? How's that working?" We're very interested because I mean, if you're leveraging all of your economy up against the dollar, and the U.S. keeps printing, the only people that printing benefits is the U.S., right? If you're holding bonds and you're holding actual dollars and the U.S. is debasing the currency, that kind of sucks for everyone but the U.S., right? Or the politicians in the U.S. or the big companies in the U.S. But it doesn't help anyone outside. And we know South America is extremely dependent on the dollar. More, I would say, more so than the rest of the globe, right? Europe is dependent on the euro, and the euro is also kind of tied to the dollar. But at the end of the day, it's not as leveraged as South America. South America is very heavily dependent on the dollar. And so we saw El Salvador have success. The IMF pushed back on them. They're like, "Hey, El Salvador, what are y'all doing? Stop it!"
You know what's funny is the IMF said, "Oh, they lowered their credit risk, their credit ranking for El Salvador." And when you lower the credit ranking, you're pretty much like, "Hey, we don't believe that you're going to be able to pay back your debt." And so, what happened? El Salvador, I think it was like an $880 billion loan they got from somewhere, I forget. They paid that back. And when they paid that back, you started seeing news stories from the IMF and such. El Salvador's economy is actually looking pretty good. Yeah, couple of stats here. So the GDP of El Salvador is 30 billion. Argentina's GDP is 630 billion. So a 20x. Argentina ranks number 25 globally in GDP. And in South America, they rank number 2. Number 1 is Brazil with a GDP of 2.3 trillion. Argentina comes in at number 2 in South America at $630 billion in GDP. Now, why do I bring that up? We saw what El Salvador did. Legal tender, very Bitcoin friendly. Starts buying Bitcoin. Argentina seems to be going down that road. Bitcoin friendly, legal tender. Will we see President Milei and the Argentinian government start to buy Bitcoin for their treasury reserve assets? We know El Salvador bought chunks when it was down. They buy 1 Bitcoin every single day. They've been doing that for months. If we see this from Argentina, let me paint a picture for you here, Robin, and I want you to kind of think about this.
Are you an artist?
I'm actually very bad at drawing, but mental drawing.
Okay.
I do a lot of things in my head, you know?
Okay.
So you have a country that was crime-ridden, the murder capital of the world. No one wanted to go there. You had their people leaving the country to come to other countries like U.S. Now you fast forward, new president, crime. They're one of the safest countries in the world per capita, right? Their economy is booming. They're building new infrastructure. People that have left El Salvador, especially here in the U.S., are looking to move back. So it turned that entire country around, and we can point to a few things, but one thing we can definitely point to is what they did financially, right? Bitcoin. Look at Argentina. Hyperinflation. What were the numbers when we were going through it in 2022 when we were looking at inflation numbers? We were showing you numbers, 140% year over year inflation in Argentina. 140%. New president comes in, fires like 80% of the federal bureaucratic like agencies, right? They finally flip it into a surplus of government funding. Now they're looking to do what El Salvador did on the financial level with Bitcoin. If Argentina turns it around like El Salvador did, Robin, there is two things that those countries both have in common that they did, and that is Bitcoin, my friend.
Yeah, just to give you some numbers here, you have just this year alone, Argentina recorded 254% on inflation.
Holy.
So
that's year over year, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, so year over year, so it's nuts, man. I mean, you have so year over year, so you had 2023, you had 211% up from 94% the year before, up from 50% the year before, and so quite dramatic there. So it's escalating at a crazy rate, right? We talk about domestic inflation here in the U.S. around what is it,
4%,
4 to
call it
10%. You know, in the last 2 years, somewhere between 4 and 10%. And now we're talking about 100% inflation, 200% inflation, and in a major country. This is, I mean, Argentina's a major country. And I know Rocco, our producer, has got a little bit more insight when it comes to inflation down in Argentina. I mean,
well, it's Venezuela.
Yeah,
but the country
South
they're running
America,
is exactly that.
But I know you've discussed Argentina a little bit as well. But yeah, I know Venezuela. I know Michael Saylor always talks about Venezuela. And what is it? The Bolivar?
Bolivar, yeah, the Bolivar, yeah.
Yeah, and so one by one, they're all failing. Even the dollar, right? That's that's why we're here, because even the strongest currency, the dollar, it's bleeding bad, real bad, right? I mean, housing prices have doubled. I mean, you can sit here and be like, "Well, I bought a house, man. Look how much money I made. I bought it for $150,000. Now it's worth $300,000." Like, well, congrats. Good luck selling that and buying another house for $150,000. That ain't gonna happen.
I think Mark Moss, he gave a keynote speech at Bitcoin Amsterdam this year or last year. I think he said it perfectly, right? He said the fiat experiment that we've been doing for the last 50 years is going to come to an end. And it is an experiment, right? Throughout history, money's always been backed by something, right? Commodity, physical item, whatever the case may be. It's over the last 50 years, and we have a saying in crypto, trust me, bro, right?
Yeah.
Literally what the government is telling you. Here is paper currency. Trust me, bro, that you'll be able to redeem it. Or trust me, bro, that it'll still have value. Or trust me, bro, that you can still go to the grocery store and use it. And I'm sorry, but I was watching a PBD podcast yesterday, and they were talking about, they showed a chart of the people's confidence in the U.S. government. It was at 77% in the 80s. You know what it's at now? 16%. People don't trust the government. And so if you don't trust the government, why are you going to sit there and stick up for fiat currency and a dollar when literally it's backed by nothing but trust us, we're the U.S. government?
Yeah, and I mean the value is just eroded, and nobody will argue that. I haven't heard anybody say like, well, you know what, the dollar is no. I know
people out there, bro, that still believe the dollar is backed by gold.
Yeah, but even if they have that belief, they have seen the purchasing power leave. Everyone is agrees that, hey, in the 80s you could buy a cheeseburger for 39 cents. And now you can't buy a cheeseburger for $3.39. Like, you can't. Like, it's all crazy now. And so everything's been priced out. The purchasing power, basically our currency, is being destroyed. And you know what? What option do we have? Right? It's either we issue a new currency, which Argentina's talking about, right? Either issue a new currency.
I don't know if they're talking about issuing. Okay.
What I'm saying is that
Using, like bringing in a new.
What I'm saying that from a anecdotal sense, like you think about it, right? You think about the whole scenario. Like, what could you do? You could issue a new currency, and that's it. From a national perspective, right? And so, what is our? But how do you even do that? You obviously can't. You can't just say
We just go to Amazon and buy a couple of money printers, and then just start printing money.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying though, and I know I kind of threw your train of thought off, but I think it's more of introducing new currency, right? Because their currency is the peso. El Salvador's currency, and a lot of people know it's a dollar, right? Their national currency is the U.S. dollar. Argentina's the peso. That has gone to shit. And so it's a perfect time. Like, what else do you have to lose?
It was the dollar in Salvador because they didn't have no choice to run the dollar because the government, United States government, kind of pressure on that. Now,
The U.S. government never does that, though. What do you mean? No?
no, but going back to what Robert was saying also that imagine Argentina in the same situation today, but let's say Bitcoin, crypto doesn't exist, okay? What are you going to do? You go back to gold, probably buy gold again, try to go back to the standard. Now, thanks God we have the technology. It makes sense to go ahead and buy Bitcoin and kind of use this new technology that you don't have to physically move it.
Yeah.
It's shareable, and it can definitely create wealth for a nation that needs it. And so that's why Argentina and other country they're going to move out from the dollar standard.
I agree. And what I was saying too was like a country like Argentina, a country like El Salvador, a country like Venezuela, what do you have to lose? Like, how much worse can it really get? Your people are literally throwing your currency on the floor and everyone's walking by it. Like, what else do you have to lose? And so I think we're at a very unique time where, again, as Mark Musk said, that fiat experiment is slowly going to die, and it'll be 100% nail in the coffin, bury that thing under 6 feet under the ground when the U.S. dollar eventually fades into the distance. And now we take a look around in other countries like, holy shit.
Here's just a chart here. In case that the numbers just sounded loony, right? Over 200%. So 2024, 225% inflation.
It's like that one new meme coin.
2022 was 75. I just don't like. How do you?
That's crazy.
How do you send somebody to college?
No.
How do you start a business,
Bro?
How do you buy a
food?
car?
How do you buy food?
Well, the thing is you can take your money that you earned that day and then you can go buy something. But anything outside of a week to week, you have zero chance.
Yeah.
You have zero chance. At least you could be like, hey man, you know what? You need to pay me 10 times what you paid me 2 years ago. Yeah, you know what I mean? Or a year ago. Pay me 10 times that. Then maybe the employer, because of inflation, maybe he's getting more dollars in or more of the pesos in. Either way, like you might be able to survive with the tangible goods you need to buy that day, but you have no chance. How do you afford a house? How do you afford a car? How do you you can't save.
But Rob,
saving is gone. It's not even a possibility.
You're assuming people get paid once a day, right? Obviously, it's not going to be that 200% because that is year over year. But divide that number by 12 months, and what does that give you per month? That gives you almost 20% per month.
But you know what is scary about this graphic that you show? Yeah, I think the United States right now is between 2016 and 18. That's where we are. This is just a picture of the future from another country. I'll say, I know, United States, bigger
No, man. Like
I'm telling you, we are.
The dollar is like out of all the shit
now.
fiats, the dollar is the best one, right?
But it's in
that
the same
will
trajectory. But it's also in the same.
Oh yeah. I think everyone agrees. It is all fiat currencies are on the same trajectory. That's why you see countries like China buying tons of gold a month. You see the BRICS formation and the new commodity-backed currency that they're looking to do.
Yeah, countries you have the OPEC deal fell apart. You have the BRICS. You have nations not buying the treasuries, and so will it all kind of come unraveled, and will we see inflation from the U.S.? And then you also couple that with perhaps some kind of war or geopolitical situation. Remember, now I know we've and I don't want to start an argument, but I know in the past we've kind of discussed like, well, we'll get the U.S. out of the situation we're at economically, or get us into a very prosperous GDP would be to go to war, right? That'll solve. No, if you look at England, right? You look at Great Britain when they were the power that they were. When World War II bankrupted England, and the reason the U.S. rose up was because we had the workers, right? We had the population, and we had the industrial revolution, right? And we were the ones creating all the weaponry and all the tanks and everything. And so we don't have that industrial infrastructure for, that's all the goods have been made in China and in India now that is moved from the US. And in a time where we were going to war in World War II, we were the manufacturers. And now we do manufacture goods. We have a ton of exports, but it's not what it used to be. And so I'm concerned that if we go to war, or we have this ugly geopolitical mess, we're going to be in the same position that Great Britain was, and that we are going to have to finance the war, and we're going to be printing money, and other countries that have the manufacturing and the workforce and the population, they're going to be ones that rise up, and we're weaponizing the dollar as well. I'm telling you, everything.
The U.S. was in such a good spot, right? They came in. I'm not going to do a history lesson here, but just so you can understand how far we've come, why the dollar was even adopted, and why we're going off that standard. The U.S. was sitting back during World War II, and they came in because at that point the dollar was backed by gold, right? It wasn't the reserve currency yet. After World War II came out, or after we were done, there was a Bretton Woods agreement to where the U.S. dollar became the world reserve currency, which was backed by gold, correct? Backed by gold. And then in the 70s, not backed by gold, now they can print into infinity. That's when you started seeing all these bullshit wars. Vietnam War, Korean War, Iraq War, Afghanistan War. It's like the game of Risk, right? It's like you're trying to conquer commodities, and you're trying to conquer resources and instill your beliefs in this and that. Those days are coming to an end, man. Because once the U.S. gets to a point where they can't just print money into oblivion, because a majority of those dollars end up staying in the U.S. versus making their way overseas via U.S. treasuries, which we're already seeing happening. Once that starts to accelerate, and I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm actually saying it's a good thing for you watching that is in the space right now, because this is the space. This is a technology that's going to replace the fiat system we have now. And you're an early adopter. You're a very early adopter. And if you don't do anything stupid, you're in such a good position to capitalize on that. When those things start to happen, people start to panic. But you, your family, your friends, or whoever you've been able to convince to at least look into cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, you guys are going to be in a great spot. And so it's something crazy that a lot of people can't fathom, but it's very exciting to be in the space as well. Also, very exciting to share with you that our mascot, Michael Saylor, just acquired an additional 11,931 Bitcoin for $786 million.
Yeah, bless.
65.8 was their price. Apparently, he wasn't using Lux Algo market indicators to see when the bottom was going to be. Shout out to Lux Algo. They're a channel sponsor as well. So as of 6/20/2024, MicroStrategy holds 226,331 Bitcoin, acquired for $8.3 billion at an average price of 36.7K. So they bought kind of the local top, right? 65.8 was a local top. We're trading under 65 right now, and their cost basis is still 36,800. What does that tell you? That's if you simplify things, and we've shown this chart. I'm not going to show it now unless Robin wants to pull it up. But all the different points in time of Bitcoin's price that Michael Saylor bought Bitcoin. One of his biggest buys was at literally the top. But guess what? DCA, 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 buy here, buy there. Sometimes you cash the bottom, sometimes you cash the top. $8.3 billion later, Bitcoin's at 66, 65,000, and your average price is 36.7. Very, very interesting. So, anyways, Rob, any thoughts on this? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Michael Saylor has said numerous times, we will never stop buying Bitcoin, even if it's at $5 million. I tend to believe the guy. What are your thoughts on this? If you have any, if not,
kind of go back what we were saying. Hey, if you keep inflating the dollar, I mean, buy it now while it's cheaper. Even market adoption aside, you put all of that aside. You say you can sit here and talk about the utility, moving at the speed of light, and all this, and that digital gold. Like, at the end of the day, just take any asset that has a finite supply, and then if it's priced in dollars, we keep printing, the asset's just going to keep going up. So them buying, whether they're buying now at 65 or 2 months ago when it was at 75,000, or 5 months ago when it was at 25, it doesn't matter, because 5 years from now it's going to be 750,000. So it doesn't matter, like, because inflation, and it doesn't matter about Bitcoin, and you can take Bitcoin out of the equation, and you can say, hey, well, if I have 300,000 and I have zero confidence in Bitcoin, well, buy a house, buy a piece of land, buy a rare Mustang collectible, buy something that can't be inflated itself, as because it's an asset, and in 10 years it's going to be worth more money. Bingo. And so if you pick a crypto, as long as they're not printing this thing to death, pick up a crypto that has a hard market cap, go to Coin Market Cap, click a crypto, and then if you see the infinity sign there, maybe think about it.
Is that a shot at ICP?
No, it's not a shot at ICP. But I mean, ICP does have an infinite supply.
There's no max cap.
But
Rob, you bring up such a good point. Think about what Michael Saylor is doing. He's taking leveraged fiat, right? When a company trades at X share, earnings, it's leveraged, correct?
Yep.
He's taking leveraged fiat. He's raising more fiat, and then he's converting that fiat to a hard asset. And the price of his stock keeps going up, adding more leverage to the fiat, and he's doing the same thing. It's rinse and repeat. And so when that time comes, when there's hyperinflation or the dollar's, it's taking the steps down the stool or the ladder, dude's going to be sitting on an ungodly amount of a hard asset commodity that does not get inflated, that has a hard cap supply. And I'm a little surprised we haven't seen more companies kind of, maybe not to the level that MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor are doing, but at least dip their toes. We've seen some small ones, Semler Scientific, cool, but I'm talking about like Microsoft, Apple, Google, Sony, like the big names, like just a little bit.
You can protect, or you can ease the inflation pain by putting away treasury, cash on hand, money into assets, right? You can, or into securities that have been proven to return, right? You can look at the S&P 500. You can sit here and say, look, we have a $200 million, for example. We have no intention on spending this over the next 3 years. What do you do with it, right? Probably lock it up in a bond. You know, you can ease the inflation away, right? I mean, you probably won't match inflation, or at least you'll kind of be right there on par with it. Same thing with the S&P 500. So, I mean, at this moment where our inflation's kind of, the headline inflation numbers, was it 4%?
Yeah.
Basically, right. Headline numbers 4%. Probably it's more like 5 or whatever. But you can be in that range, right? You can return 3 to 7% annually with index funds, treasuries, bonds. But what happens if inflation starts to ramp up? What Rocco said, if that chart starts to go parabolic, what happens if the U.S. has 20% inflation? It has happened before, right? It happened back in the 80s.
Yep.
And it also happened after inflation went up and then came down. So if we found ourselves in a scenario where inflation started getting out of control for whatever reason we can dream up of, whatever black swan you want to pop up into a conversation. If let's just say inflation starts going up, companies aren't going to be able to beat it. You know, right now the S&P 500 ain't going to beat it. Your bonds ain't going to beat it. Like, you're not going to be able to keep up with it. Just like, Sailor talks about all the time, like, good luck finding something that's going to return 200% returns in Argentina. There's not a company out there. Maybe there's one person that invested in the right thing, but
Nancy Pelosi might be able to help him.
There you go. But at the end of the day, like, you're probably going to miss the boat. You're probably going to just lose money. And so, to answer your question, when are companies going to start adopting Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin? It's going to be when inflation starts getting out of control. I think you're going to have no option. Like, where are you going to go? Either gold, real estate, Bitcoin, the three of those. And if you're a company, how can you buy large amounts of liquid real estate? You can't. And, well, you can. We did that before, and that was with mortgage-backed securities, and let's see how that went. Right. And so at the end of the day, you're trying to minimize risk, protect your cash on hand or your treasury or your company's money. Like, there's no option. If inflation's over 10, 15%, you're screwed. You got zero. You got very little options in front of you. Bitcoin just makes so much sense. And if you see that, what's going to happen when inflation does get to 20%? What's going to happen to the price of Bitcoin? Price is going to go up. And who's going to be on the high horse? It's going to be MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, and other companies that follow suit. And when other companies are really bleeding, and who's going to be at the top? Who's going to be at the top of the pyramid? The pinnacle is going to be MicroStrategy. It's going to cause a run on Bitcoin. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a flight. This thing is going to go parabolic. Inflation, also Bitcoin. And maybe not in the next 2 years, maybe not in the next 5 years, but maybe I confidently say within the next 20 years, inflation parabolic here in the U.S. because people's coming off the dollar standard. And also Bitcoin's priced in dollars. And so conversely, you're going to see that just absolutely just skyrocket.
This guy's name is wrong in the chat. Said, I replaced my Fiat with a Toyota. Probably not a bad move, as Toyotas hold their value pretty well. Probably better than Toyotas. Also, what holds their value well is our channel sponsors. And today's show is brought to you by Legacy Network. Their Legacy Academy app is in beta testing. And guess what? Rob and I have been messing around with it a little bit. It is absolutely amazing. And once their token goes live, you'll be able to learn in the Legacy Academy app and make money in the meantime. We're going to bring their founder on the show here in the very near future to talk about the project, exactly what it is. In the meantime, if you want to stay up to date on everything Legacy, click the link in the description, join the Telegram so you can be up to date on everything Legacy Network. Now, this is a very interesting chart here. So from Dan Held, Bitcoin is growing faster than the internet. Look at this, Robin. So in dark gray is Bitcoin, light gray is the internet. And it's going back to when it was first incepted, right? And then where we are now, and we are outpacing the adoption of internet. Now, I know obviously without internet, we probably wouldn't be able to have Bitcoin. But still.
Like I said, probably.
Definitely. I don't know. Maybe BlackBerry.
If it wasn't for this computer thing, I got a suspicion we wouldn't have Bitcoin. I'm not sure.
Any thoughts on this? Pretty strong.
You know what? Everyone uses money. Not everyone uses the internet, right? So it's kind of foolish to say, but
I think the people that don't use it don't have access to it.
That's what I'm saying. But everyone has access to money, right? Everyone can barter. Everyone has something they can they can exchange their time for, right? You can go out and do something and return value, right? but not everybody has internet. With that said, maybe not the best analogy, but globally, everyone has to buy and sell goods, but not everyone has bank accounts. And so there's an obvious adoption. There's obviously room for adoption for everyone, right? And the ones that need it the most are the ones that don't have banking services. And so I think that's where you go. You can get by without internet. Like, it wasn't that long ago we didn't have internet. We got by. We made it. You know, I remember growing up, and if you know what? There's a funny story. I was telling a story to somebody real quick, and it was,
what is this?
There was a phone number. Believe it or not, there was a phone number for those of you that are young. You could call, and they would tell you the time.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah, I used to do
you
it.
guys are old as shit.
Did you ever hear that?
I don't remember that.
So there was that. So
I used
there
to
was
do it.
literally a phone number you would call. It was like 611.
Yeah,
It
it was something like
it was
that,
one of
yeah.
those numbers, and you dialed it, and then it would ring once, and it'd be like, the time Eastern Standard Time is 2:37 p.m. Thank you, and then you would hang up. And that was like a number, and everyone called. So, anyways, we operated perfectly fine without the internet, but we've always needed money. We always need, and then you always need some kind of banking services to keep your hard-earned value. What is this here?
I try to understand what is it. I don't understand.
I don't know.
wanna
I'm
take
like
it away.
talking, and I'm so confused. I'm like, what
It's a
am I?
video.
Oh,
video.
I thought it was an image. You're trying.
No, it's a video. But
Right, good
how
to
do
know.
you think? What do you think this video is going to be about?
I don't know. That's
What if I told you this video is the first Ethereum ETF commercial? You ready?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready, Rocco?
yeah. Go.
Hello, I'm Ethereum.
And I'm big finance.
You okay? You look really tired,
Just calling it a day.
but it's 4 p.m.
Yeah, and I've been working nonstop since 9:30 this morning, so.
9:30. You don't say.
Yep, you'd want a little shut-eye too if you've been moving billions around the world.
Well, actually, I do. You know, stablecoins, NFTs, loans. People can access me 24/7.
What?
But look, everyone's different. You should get your rest. You've had a long day.
Well, I have, haven't I?
Definitely. You'll get after it tomorrow.
Tomorrow's Saturday.
Monday. You'll get after it again on Monday.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, you don't need financial services on Saturday and Sunday.
You know? Thought you were being serious for
Apparently
a
no,
second. I was
for
like,
the
what? Shout out to Bitwise, man. We've had Matt Hogan, their CIO, on the show. Amazing conversation. So I like that, man. That was good. I think he got a point across. It was clean. It had some comedic relief in there. And so, yeah, big shout out to Bitwise. I did mention we kind of have figured out who's been selling. So this post from Tyler did it. Now we know who's been selling the ancient Bitcoin whales to the tune of billions. On-chain data shows that long-term Bitcoin whales have sold a whopping $1.2 billion of BTC over the last 2 weeks. Literally an unprecedented amount of selling, according to Crypto Quant. And as you can see here, Robin, this chart in orange is the selling, in black is the price. So obviously the largest spike prior to the one we've had over the last 2 weeks was all the way back in like March of 2022. And so is this a cause of concern for you, or is it just people realizing profits, the economy, and it's not, people are struggling financially? Maybe, I don't know. You got anything to add to this? Just very interesting here, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't put too much behind whale movement. I know there's a lot to unpack there, but I just look at it like for every whale that sells, there's another whale that buys.
Michael Saylor. All right. With that being said, I'm going to throw it over to Rob. We're going to take a look at the markets. Robin?
No, I did want to take a look at this market right here. It's just interesting
What is that?
discussion. So you have the Japanese yen. Have you seen this thing? It's kind of it's getting ugly, man. It's getting absolutely ugly. And so the yen just over the last few months has went from 140 yen per dollar up to 158. So strong, one of the strongest economies globally, Japan, seeing some hyperinflation. Watch out. Look at this. I have my Caspa. Yeah, I was taking a look at Caspa earlier. So if you haven't checked out our new Caspa video, we just launched that this morning. At the end of the show, go check that out. Go support the channel. One of our favorite episodes. One of my favorite episodes.
Those guys were so cool, man.
Yeah,
Great guy.
So Bitcoin sitting right at that 65K mark. We didn't move up last night. Right before bed, I saw this thing kind of catching some movement, and well,
psych.
Yeah, we back. So, taking a look at the altcoins, it's a lot of
Robin,
red.
Just real quick before you move off of Bitcoin, if you go back to the last cycle, right, post-halving, there's 150 days where Bitcoin ranged between 9 and 11K. 150 days. What is that, 5 months? And we're what, May?
You're talking about prior to the last
halving. So the halving happens. Bitcoin was range bound between a $2,000, right? Between 9 and 11K for 150 days. So 5 months. And we're only 2 months post halving. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, it was a calm before the storm. And that's kind of our theme of the show today, was discussing the failures of the dollar, the fiat system, inflation, and what does that mean for assets, and what does that mean particularly for Bitcoin, especially look at the history. And so, yeah, man, I mean, what you should be trading in your time and economic value for something finite. And for here, we believe in Bitcoin, we believe in crypto, and as inflation kind of gets out of control, prices are going to go up, because they're all priced in dollars, and you double, triple, quadruple the amount of dollars there are. Well, you double, triple, quadruple the price of everything else. So, taking a look, some of the big losers today, the ones that are down quite significantly. You got Zinc. ZK Sync. I'm not too familiar with that, but Flare's down, Beam, Notcoin, Jasmy, and then Pepe, Arweave, all down, but. Not everything's down. We've seen a big rally out of the AI sector. So Fetch AI up 10%, Singularity Net, WorldCoin's up as well. This is all just on the 24 hours. You can see that they are making up some losses that they've had over the week. You can take a look at Singularity Net, still down 4%. WorldCoin down 17% on the week. WorldCoin, it was doing pretty well there for a little while. It's selling off, man. A month ago, over $5.
Pulled everyone's freaking retinas.
Yeah, I mean, all-time high, $10, down to $3. It's selling off, man. I just see no reason to hold this versus Bitcoin. My opinion. I mean. It's a very small market cap, so I mean it should theoretically be a more leveraged play on Bitcoin, but I just can't confidently get behind this thing, man.
No.
Would you hold this over Bitcoin?
Nope.
No. Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Put it this way, I would hold XRP over that.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Speaking of XRP, pretty flat. Hasn't moved much.
Never mind, I take it back.
Hasn't moved.
Kidding.
It hasn't.
But Ethereum moved down, and now all magically everything disappeared.
Yeah, Ethereum had a pretty big move after that. The lawsuit got dismissed. They didn't even file the lawsuit. It was just the Wells notice, and then.
But typically from Wells notices, you get lawsuits, and so they dropped that whole thing.
But it kind of lost the gains that it had. It moved up to 3,600, and. Pretty much
crazy how much the SEC dropping that case is going to help the rest of crypto.
Yeah.
Let's leave it there.
Anyways, that's all I got. What do you got, David?
I got this. So, Rocco, do you know when that Solana 2 phone's coming out? I know you pre-ordered it. Any updates on that?
Not yet. No updates.
No updates yet. Okay, well, I got some good news for you, bro.
Okay.
Some great news for you. Check this out.
Let's see.
Anatoly Yakovenko, the co-founder of Solana, encourages mobile developers on Solana to incentivize users to switch to Solana Mobile by offering digital assets as incentives, so airdrops. We already know, right? We've shared news that the Saga 2 phone is going to have some airdrops on it. We know the Saga 1 phone, who was it? Were we were out of town, correct? We were somewhere. Me and you were out of town. And then they were talking about buying the Saga phone. And then literally 2 days later, bonks started rallying. And then people started posting, look, Solana phone is $500 because they lowered the price. The bonk airdrop is literally $650. Things sold out in what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Yeah, people were
2-3 minutes
in the eBay.
It makes sense. I get a free phone plus $150 and I have bonk. Like, it just makes sense. And so some people don't like this idea. A lot of people like this idea. Where do you stand on this, Robin? Do you think it's a good idea from Anatoly telling developers, hey, pretty much saying, get some airdrops in these people's phones so that we can get people to start using it? Or do you think that's kind of...
But the airdrops have been meme coins for the most part. And so...
For the most part, yeah.
No, I feel like there's been a lot of discussion on the value of Solana's network, or it's, how much money is in Solana and how much money of that is in meme coins. I know Crypto Crow talked about it yesterday. Rand talked about it yesterday.
Why do you say that?
And there's been a big target on Solana's ecosystem, and
only because I'm only interrupting you because it lines up with what you're saying. But Andrew Kang from Mechanism Capital, I believe, he shared his thoughts on Solana. He said, acknowledge Solana's a great horse, but he predicted if meme trading takes a pause for the next few months, you'll likely be able to buy Sol near $80 again, which where Sol right now is at $134, $80. That's what, a 50% drawdown. So kind of in line with what you're saying.
I mean, they were throwing out 90%. I don't know how accurate it is. I didn't look at it myself, but Crypto Crow was talking about 90% of Solana's values in meme coins, and I don't know how accurate that is, but kind of interesting to think about, right? I mean, we always talk like, what are your thoughts of Binance Smart Chain at its heyday?
I call it the scam chain. That's what I would call it.
Why would you not say the same thing about Solana? I'm just saying that.
No, that's a fair question. I think that's a fair question. Definitely a lot of scams.
I mean, outside of the dexes that trade meme coins and outside of meme coins, what does Solana have?
Outside of DEXs and
that trade meme coins.
Well, they're onboarding projects. Their NFT sales are among the highest in all the blockchains,
that's what I'm saying.
Right?
Like,
the stable coins, right? They're working with Visa, with Circle, Helium migrated over. So there's a lot of things going on. Now, those things have not really come to fruition yet. So a lot of it now, of course, is meme trading. And I wouldn't be surprised if that number really was 90%.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so you have a stable coins, which Ethereum has stable coin. Who doesn't have stable coins? And I get it that stable coins are working with stable coins with Visa. And so, but as you mentioned, how long is that going to take to happen? And, are we looking at a massive bubble in meme coins? And if there is a bubble in meme coins, if that pops, who's going to have the biggest downside drawdown? It's probably Solana, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
do you believe in a meme coin super cycle? I do. I think meme coins are here to stay. I really do.
I agree with you.
I'm not saying you should have any significant amount of your portfolio in meme coins. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying as people get more desperate, as the economic conditions continue to worsen, as people are continuing in debt, I'm telling you, Robin, we live in Vegas, bro. We live in Vegas. How many times working in Las Vegas in the hospitality industry, sir, how many times have you heard or talked to people like, all I need is one jackpot, man. I can pay off my car. All I need is to hit 1 7 spot on Keno and I can pay off my debt. And it's the same thing. And as long as we keep seeing these small examples of people, he put $100 in dog whiff hat and a week later had $100,000. People are going to chase that, bro. And as people become more desperate, they're going to do even more of that. They're going to look at their thing and say, okay, I got $100. I can go spend $100 on groceries, or I can buy 7 days worth of ramen noodles and take $80 and try to hit it big on a meme coin, or try to hit it big at a casino, or try to hit it big on a meme stock. And just from a psychological perspective of people, and I've kind of been there a little bit, right? When I was in my mid-20s, came back from North Dakota, economy was in the shits. I was working 2 jobs. I was paying all the bills for my family, my brothers, my mom, my dad. My dad lost his business. It was a nightmare, and I couldn't catch up. And there were nights I'd walk out of work, and I would make like $160. I would take $20 and just put it in the slot machine and say, damn, if I just hit one, just one time, I can catch up on everything. Of course, that didn't happen, but it's like I've been there. I know it, and I can't imagine how many people are already in the same shoes or are going to be in those shoes as the conditions economically get worse.
I look at crypto as the next sector of finance, and that's trillions of dollars. And the retail money, it's a small percentage, right? It's like what is the percentage of penny stocks in Wall Street? I mean, where's the real money in Wall Street? It's in the top companies. It's in the index funds. Is there penny stocks in there that people are making money off of? Sure, but it's such a small percentage. It's not even relevant, right? You don't see anybody talking about penny stocks on any of the financial networks. And I think that, yeah, I know you say super cycle, but I look at it this way. I look at it that we're going to have 10s, 20, maybe even $100 trillion worth of money locked into crypto. And that's going to be smart money, right? That's going to be companies, nation states, retirement funds. And so the percentage of retail is going to shrink compared to the rest, right? And so I agree, meme coins are always going to be around, but it's in the same way that I agree that speculative penny stocks are going to be around. But I mean, how big of a sector is that realistically in Wall Street? And how big of a sector is meme coins going to be 15 years from now? I think it's going to be so irrelevant. I think it's going to be something that we look back at and like, remember how many people were throwing money at meme coins? Yeah, it had its heyday. And so, are people going to be speculative? Is there going to be some meme coin project? Is there going to be some fad collectible or some new PlayStation that has a low supply on Christmas? Yeah, that's how human nature works. People try to make money. As you mentioned, people like to gamble. But at the end of the day, this sector is going to keep growing. MicroStrategy and other companies similar to it, nation states, El Salvador, perhaps Argentina, perhaps Venezuela, perhaps Brazil, perhaps, African nations, they're going to start using and investing in crypto and also utilizing those services for not only their nation, but for their people. And that amount of value and money is going to be stupid. It's going to melt faces, right? And the amount of money that retail is throwing, they're $20, they're $100, they're $400. It's going to be so minute and irrelevant in the grand scheme of things that you're missing the boat. So if you're going all in on meme coins, sure, you might hit it. But what happens if the meme coins don't come back? I mean, what argument can you make other than people like to gamble? Can you make for meme coins coming back?
Community.
Well, why is the community there? Because the community is gambling.
Also, I like to think about the Saga phone for the 1 and the 2 being like the diner club credit card. Before the credit card was invented, you have your wallet. You didn't have the slot for the credit card to put it in, I guess. You only had cash back then, right?
Yeah.
So Saga 1 and 2, probably 20 years from now, it's going to be like, oh, you remember when the phone was the first phone where you can have a Solana in it. Now you have you may have something that is completely so new. It's going to become like the phone with the rotary phone. And now
the Solana phone is integrating finance directly into the phone natively without third party. That's what it's doing. And right now, the headlines are airdrops for meme coins. But, I think as you mentioned, 10 years from now, what are people going to be using on a Solana phone or on an Ethereum phone or Cardano phone or Caspa phone,
All chain
whatever
phone.
it is, whichever phone it is or whatever's popular at the time? People are going to be using the financial services. They're going to be using the digital IDs. They're going to be using the smart contracts, right? That's the beauty of crypto, right? We talk about it all the time, like, hey, let's NFT these, tokenize these tickets, arena tickets, assets, digital goods, digital identification, banking services. Let's just make it natively on the phone and then remove every single third party from there, right?
Yeah.
You don't need a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo app. You just say, hey, will you send me $500? Cool. I sent it to you. Ethereum network, stablecoin, there it is. And it doesn't even touch an app.
Yeah.
It just goes from my phone to your phone in the same way that I text message, right? Could you imagine if you had an app to text message? Right? And I was sitting here telling you, like, look, bro, you're not gonna need to pay AT&T to text message, right? And remember, if you know back in the day, you still see it every once in a while on a commercial or on something. They'll say text message charges may apply, right?
Yeah.
Because why? Because a third party would charge you to send that message. Now it just happens natively on the phone, right? And
imagine also you can send a message. Let's say you send a text. You don't have to choose between text, Telegram, Instagram, or
you
WhatsApp. You send just a text.
Yeah, you send
and
just
you receive it.
same thing's gonna happen with money and finance.
Health records.
We're gonna be like, hey, remember when you had to send it through Bank of America, PayPal, whatever it is? Like now you just boom, you just send it one phone to the other. It's in your wallet, right? And I think that's what is powerful about the Solana phone, the Saga phone. I think is the fact that you're natively assigning.
So it's not the airdrops?
It's part of
The
it.
airdrop, sure. Like meme coins ain't going nowhere. They're here to stay in the short term, but I just have no confidence in meme coins in the long term. You can't. I can't. I know you're saying community. You're saying super cycle. Me. Would it surprise me? Nothing out of the community with crypto and degens, and nothing out of the community when it comes to meme coins would surprise me. I can't write it off. I can't sit here and say that, like, yo, you were absolutely insane and out of your mind for putting in $1,000 in a meme coin, because you know what? There's been plenty of people that have swung for the fences and hit it out of the park. But at the same time, I know far too many people that I've talked to where they're like, "Are you still doing your crypto thing?" Like, yeah, well, I bought this one meme coin and now it's a zero or whatever it is. I'm like, too many people are in that boat.
Yeah, that's very true.
And here in Vegas, you always hear about the people that hit the jackpots. You never hear about the people that have lost their paycheck every.
My dad used to always tell me, the casinos, son, were not built on winners. I said, Dad, damn it.
And even the casinos, like, if you look at Vegas, even the casinos lose, right? Because casino after casino just shut down or got bought out by someone else. And why was that? Because at the end of the day, they're working on a failed business model, right? And it's now all owned by MGM and Caesar's Palace. But in the early 90s, each one of those casinos were run by a different chain, and then one by one they all failed, and then got bought up by Caesars or MGM.
Let me ask you this question. We'll end it here. Okay, so like the slot machines and the casinos, they're like, you have Game of Thrones slot machine. And you think we're going to see a meme coin slot machine, like a Dogecoin slot machine or a Bonk slot machine?
I don't see why not.
It'll take a
would be the
minute.
first one. If you were a betting man, which meme coin do you think would get the first slot machine?
Probably a SHIB. Probably Shiba Inu.
I would look at the communities that spend money. I take a look at what Dog with Hat did with the Sphere, and they raised like $600K, which I don't think they ever went through with that, by the way.
But I just think it's. I don't think it's realistically going to happen because it's in finance and it's a crypto, and
Have you
it's
seen
already
some of the
like
slot machines?
it's already like a gray area with gambling, and and then people are going to want to use.
The casino pay the rights to have the trade because the TV series pays the rights.
Yeah,
to have
yeah.
I could see
It's
it
just a
coming,
fun
but
question.
I don't think it's realistic. But yeah, if there was one, I'd have to go with Shiba Inu.
Okay. One thing I'll say, and we'll end it at this, is the
Let's
gambling.
ask the chat too. I'm curious
That's
to know
chat,
the chat,
okay.
which slot machine with your favorite meme coin you like.
Yeah. Which meme coin do you think will get the first slot machine here in Vegas? Throw your answers in the chat. I'm curious. But one thing I know for sure is the gambling is not going anywhere, right? People are always going to want to gamble. They're always going to want a shot at changing their life, one hit of the button or one click of the mouse or one whatever. And I think as crypto grows and blockchain grows, I think it's only going to be integrated more. You look at a company like Stake, the amount of money they spend on marketing. I mean, I think they pay Drake like what, $20-30 million a year just to like put bets on their platform. So I don't think gambling's going away. And you look at meme coins, it's literally gambling. So interesting. That'll do it for today's show. Once again, if you haven't watched our Caspa video, I would recommend you do it because it was a really good one. Fun conversation. That's all I got, man. We got Forrest tomorrow. It's going to be a good show. And then, tomorrow video, AI coin, maybe got some big potential. You don't want to miss that one. That one comes out tomorrow. That's all I got. Gentlemen.
That's it.
Good to go. All right. Rocco. I had to test you. Make sure you're not. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the Sin City Crypto community. Make sure you subscribe, ping the notification bell, and we will see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Love you guys. Peace.
Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us meme coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.